welcome to my video. Today we are going to be talking all about my arm liposuction journey. So if this is something you are interested in, this is the video for you because we are going to spill all the tea, girl. I'm going to be talking about everything in detail that you need to know when it comes to getting arm liposuction. Of course, it might vary from doctor to doctor, and I do recommend mine. So if you do go with him, this is probably going to be, what you can expect. I do find that finding resources on just the arms alone is pretty hard, so I wanted to make this for you to be able to reference and kind of know what you're getting yourself into, because it was a lot. It was pretty intense. But doable. So I'm really excited to be able to make this video for anyone interested in getting arm liposuction and just that alone. If you are, obviously going to be getting other procedures or other things done, then you might need to reference some more, videos or materials. But yeah, so I had Lipofit 360 HD and Renuvion JPlasma. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. It's basically traditional lipo, where he kind of goes from one side of the arm towards the back and doesn't really touch the top. And then the Renuvion JPlasma is for skin tightening. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a long video, so grab a drink, grab some snacks, hang out with me, because this is going to be pretty comprehensive. I'm going to talk about a lot, but we're going to break it down into sections or topics, if you will, and all the timestamps will be down below. As well, anything I talk about in the video, that it has a reference point, it will be down below. If there are any questions or anything I have not answered by the end of this video, please leave them in the comment section. I will be filming a 4-month update video as well as a Q&A if there are enough unanswered questions. I am currently 20 days post-op, 20 days today. So yeah, and let's just jump into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is, why did I do it? Why did I get arm liposuction? Why did I go under anesthesia and basically under the knife to get my arms done? I think it's really important to include this because I think a lot of people feel like they're alone, and you are not. I was extremely insecure about my arms. I am going to be including pictures and videos in the before and after section. I'll throw one up now so you can just kind of know what I'm talking about. But I was very self-conscious about my arms. It was aesthetics, right? I felt like I was top heavy and that they were very bulky. I've even had people make comments like, oh, dang, you're looking swole. Like, how much do you bench? And I was like, I don't, okay? I don't. Like, I do light weights. But you had to make a comment about the most self-conscious thing on my body. Thanks. They don't know any better. But yeah, so it just, aesthetically, I just don't feel like they fit my body at all. They were just big. They were bulky. I held weight there. It didn't matter how much I worked out. It didn't matter what I did. I held weight in that area and there was no fixing it. I have been the type that I have been in the gym basically my whole life. Like, since I was 18, I had 24-hour, fitness membership. I've had a personal trainer. I eat healthy. I work out. I'm not super athletic, but it didn't matter. My arms were not reacting, and there was nothing I was going to be able to do about them. It just is what it is. And we all know spot training isn't a thing. We busted that myth. So I kind of got to this point where I was like, I work out, I feel good, the rest of my body looks really good, but my arms do not bounce back or react. And they will get a little bit smaller, right? Like, you will lose obviously some fat, but they always just had hang, and I was just insecure. And so aesthetically, they didn't fit my body, but also how I felt was not great. And that was the most important thing that made me decide to do this, or that was the biggest factor, I should say, that made me want to do this. It was how I felt. I felt gross. I felt big. I felt puffy. I felt not sexy. They just didn't make me feel good. And that was the thing where I was like, you know what? Yeah, aesthetics is well and good. I can cover them. I can wear long sleeves. I can, worry about what I'm, kind of fix it with what I'm wearing. But at the end of the day, I don't feel good. And I got to this point where, looking in my closet, I had to constantly pick certain things to wear and kind of I don't know, it was just, they were constantly on my mind is what I'm getting at. Certain positions, holding my arms, grabbing them, people touching them, they were just constantly on my mind, and I was honestly sick of it. I knew this is something that I wanted, but I was like, I don't want to worry about them anymore. I don't want to feel uncomfortable anymore. Like, I'm over it. I just want to feel sexy and confident and beautiful in my skin. And it sucks. It's unfortunate that I would have to go through something like this to get that, but it is what it is. And if I can be safe and smart about it and fix it, and hopefully everything goes well and I can make myself feel better and confident, like, I'm all for it. You know, surgery, it's a big deal, and I get it that some people aren't about it or they don't support it. That's totally fine. But if you are someone who is really struggling, like, I could get emotional about it, because knowing how I felt before and how I feel now, it's crazy. Woo, I am getting emotional about it. And, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, just learn to love yourself. Just, you know, work on yourself and just accept the skin that you're in. But I don't know, it's really hard to see something constantly in the mirror and reflections and pictures and just really not like or even hate something about yourself. Yeah, if you are struggling with something on your body and you feel insecure about it and you feel like you want to change it and fix it, it's okay. Just like, know that you're not alone. There's so many of us who are on that same boat. So that's why I did it. And so far, so good. And I'm glad I did, which we'll talk about all of that at the end of the video, but yeah. The next thing we're going to talk about is the consultations I did and kind of the journey of finding my doctor and why I chose my doctor. So I did a inquiry a couple years ago into a company called Celebrity Arms. You might have heard of them. I think they're on YouTube is how I originally found them. I sent them my photos and an email. They basically came back at a price of $10,000 just for the liposuction alone. And I was like, come again? Like, what? That is so much money. So, you know, everyone's different. If you can afford that or down to pay that, totally up to you. But I was like, dang. Like, I'm insecure, but I ain't that insecure. I'm being insecure about my bank account. But yeah, it was not for me. So I kind of actually tabled the idea for a while. And when I kind of re-picked up my search a couple years later, I Googled, you know, arm liposuction, and it said that the prices average from like $3,000 to $5,000, probably $3,000 to $6,000. So I was like, yeah, that seemed kind of high, you know? So then I had a consultation with a doctor in Beverly Hills. He sat down on Zoom with me. They seemed awesome. He did offer the Renuvion JPlasma for skin tightening, but his pricing, including everything for the lipo, and that was $8,000. Again, that was just a lot. I was like, oh, I don't know. So I just basically continued my search. You know, I wasn't looking for cheap. That was not my thing. I was just testing the waters to see if I could find somebody who does amazing work, who's more affordable, but I'm not going to go cheap. And if it came down to having to pay $8,000, best believe I would have paid $8,000. But, you know, some places charge more than others. So I was basically continuing my search. I ended up talking to a friend. She told me about a doctor that her sister had gone to, and I had actually seen her sister's body before she ever even mentioned this to me. And I remember being like, oh, her arms look good, like her body looks good. Come to find out, she had her body done. So she told me about this doctor. I decided to research him. I added him on Instagram. I saw his work. I was like, wow, I was really impressed. He did amazing work. He is in Mexico. So I knew that would obviously be a factor. And I decided based on his work alone and his Instagram, because they have a website, but that's pretty much what he goes off of. I decided to submit a consultation, because what do I have to lose, right? So I sent in my photos and my information, and it did take 2 months and 1 week to hear back from him. But when they came back with pricing, it was $3,500 for the lipo, the Renuvion JPlasma, and the hospital fees, which kind of vary, but again, we'll talk about that later in finances. But I was like, $3,500, like, holy crap, that's such a difference. So even if you add on travel and other costs, like, it's still like half the price basically, right? Sort of. Didn't completely end up being half the price. We'll talk about it later. But I was really impressed, and the fact that I had a referral and a recommendation was huge to me. I wouldn't have thought I would ever have that because I don't know anybody who's had plastic surgery. Like, I don't know anybody other than their boobs. I don't know anybody who has had anything done. So yeah, having the referral and that recommendation was huge to me. So all the signs were kind of pointing towards yes for me. His work looked amazing. The pricing was a lot more reasonable. You know, it wasn't too far away. It's only like a 2.5 hour flight, and I had a referral. So I was like, ooh, girl, signs are pointing to yes. I did research a little bit more after that to see if I could find any other doctors who were good, who were maybe in the States, who were maybe local. I couldn't really find anybody that honestly I was impressed with, and I kept my mind and my gut kept going back to this doctor. So I just decided to bite the bullet and send my deposit, and the rest was history. I was locked in. Like, once you send your deposit, girl, it's like $500. We getting it done. We going to Mexico. So one thing I will mention is if you do choose this doctor, which I highly recommend him, there is a language barrier. They do not speak English. The doctor does, but the medical assistants, the staff, there was a lot of Google Translate involved in communication and in the trip itself. So just know that if you are not comfortable with the language barrier, if that is going to be something that is too hard and too challenging for you, then this is not going to be a good fit. You are going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be understanding. It is a different language that, you know, they don't understand you, you don't understand them. So it was definitely an added challenge to the whole trip and the whole experience. I mean, it was fine for me. It didn't really bother me. I just took my time, used Google Translate. It was all good. But just know that most of them, don't speak English. And the doctor does. So when I got there and I was, going into my pre-op and stuff, I was able to communicate with him, and that made me very comfortable and put me at ease. So I was all good. But I just wanted to mention that because, it's something you need to know. They don't speak English. It is a different country. And yeah. The next thing we're going to just jump into right now is pre-trip process. So this is everything you're going to need to do to prepare for your trip and get done before you actually get on the plane and go to Mexico if you do choose this doctor. Again, these things, obviously, if you don't go to Mexico and you go to a doctor in the States, this probably will still apply. But yeah, I'm obviously just referencing my doctor and this experience. So, just take from it what you will. So obviously you're going to need to send your deposit over. I used the Zoom app, which is a PayPal company. Super easy, super convenient. It was awesome. I was like, yes, girl, nothing complicated. They then will book you a surgery date. They told me that their first availabilities were in November, but since I'm just getting my arms, let them know when I want to get it done and they can probably fit me in. I told them, so I think I was booking this in April. So I told them I want to get this done ASAP, and I kind of wanted to get it done before my birthday because, hot girl summer. But I basically was like, hey, can we do this in June? They found me a date and scheduled me, and we were locked in. So that was really exciting. I had moments where I was like, oh my God, I'm getting arm liposuction. What? But I was also really excited. It was just a mixture of emotions. I've never done anything. I've never had plastic surgery. I've never done anything like this. So yeah. But so we were locked in. So at that point, you need to book your travel, right? A given. So the thing that you need to know is that you need to stay for a week when you get this done. So it doesn't matter where you're going or who you're going with, you have to stay for a week. You're obviously going to have a drain. You're going to be draining. You can't fly with that, or it's not ideal. I don't know if you can, but I wouldn't think so. You're going to need to get the drain out. You're going to need to have your post-op appointment. And then as well, the most important thing is he wanted me to get the ultrasound massages. Well, they're a lot cheaper in Mexico, a lot cheaper. So if I would have known that on day 6, I'm supposed to start these appointments, I would have had 3 at least in Mexico that are probably $25, where back home, they're over $100. So I'm just saying, girl, you trying to save a little bit of money? That's a way you can do it. But yeah, so I just recommend staying for 9 days. He told me a week, and I basically left on the 6th day. I recommend 9. The next things that you're going to need to do are your medical things that they require. So he is going to want you to do an internal medicine assessment with your vitals and your medical history. You're going to need to get an EKG, a chest x-ray, and then obviously your labs. You're gonna have to get your labs done, and then of course you might have possible medical med indications. So for example, my my hemoglobin was low, so I had to take iron pills and then get my hemoglobin rechecked 1 week before I left for surgery. So, or left for the trip. So yeah, you're gonna have to get all that stuff done before you go. You're gonna have to get a PCR COVID test. So PCR, which I got the antigen test done, and then the day before she was like, hey, like, do you have your result? Like, you know, whatever. I sent it to them. They're like, this is not PCR, this is antigen, we need PCR. So literally the night before I was leaving, I had to, thank the Lord, it was like still business hours when they told me. I had to race to CVS, get the PCR test, and literally got the results the day before, or like the day of my pre-op. Woo! So PCR girl, get the PCR. I didn't know there was a difference because I had never had it done. You'll need to print all of your studies. So you're going to need anything you get, any testing, ask for a paper copy because you're going to need to take all of them with you. So just do that as you go. You're going to need to take off your nails if you do have nails or nail polish. They, for one, need to see your coloring, and then they also need to be able to test your oxygen. So he said only these fingers, but just take them all off. And then you are, of course, going to need to prepare, you know, you're going to need to pack for your trip, but prepare specific supplies, which I will talk about later. And I break it all down in a list for you. So those are all of the things you're going to need to do prior to your trip, your pre-trip process. I hope that's kind of clear for you. It's not a ton, but yeah, give yourself obviously enough time to get these things done, especially if you have like a traditional work schedule. So my schedule is very flexible. It was very easy for me to be able to schedule doctor's appointments and get these things done. So basically, you know, I wanted to go over this so you can allot yourself enough time to get these done where you're not stressed out. You know, you have enough time to get the results from the doctor's office. So, you know, 2 months was fine for me, but you might need a little bit more time. So just wanted to mention all of that so you can keep that in mind, all the things that you're going to need to do to prepare. All right, so your pre-trip process is all complete. You are ready to go. It is surgery time. You're flying to Mexico, or you're flying wherever you're flying, or maybe you're staying local. But the next thing we're basically going to talk about is the pre-op appointment and surgery morning. So it was really smooth. It was really straightforward. So I showed up, did the finger antigen COVID test, like a prick test. It's a blood thing. It was negative. They sent me back to meet the doctor. He was super personable. Finally got to say hello to him. They had me fill out a couple of, or sign a couple of consent paperwork for like, I think like the photos and things. Sent me back to put a gown on so he could look at my arms. He checked them out. You know, basically was confirming, you know, everything. And I was able to ask him, you know, am I going to be in pain? Like, you know, that's the point where you can ask him your questions if you have any. I felt like lipo was pretty straightforward. So I was like, just how much pain am I going to be in? I didn't really care about the rest. And then I just confirmed like where the incisions were going. So then I changed, we sat back down, I submit the rest of the payment. So again, we'll talk about finances later, but yeah, I had to pay for the difference that I owed for the surgery. And then once that was done, we filled out some more paperwork, and then he gave me my pre-operative instructions for surgery morning. So he basically gave me the prescriptions that I was going to then need to go pick up from the pharmacy. So that was one thing that I was like, oh yeah, like I don't know why I didn't think of this, that's an additional cost, and I really didn't like budget for it. I had a credit card with me that, you know, you can use credit cards in Mexico, but I was just like, oh my God, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Like medications, of course. So that's why I'm filming this video, because there's so many things. So yeah, he gave me the prescriptions, and he basically told me that I couldn't eat after midnight, that I was to shower in the morning, and to tie my hair up like in braids, or like tie it up against my head so that it wouldn't get, you know, iodine or whatever on it. That was pretty much all he told me. He said to bring the paper, so you bring your paper studies that they have you print out to your pre-op appointment. So they give them back to you with that finger prick antigen test, and then they tell you to bring them with you to surgery morning. And then as well, one of the prescriptions that they are going to prescribe you, it's an injection. He's like, you can do it if you want, or if you have somebody with you that can do it, which we'll talk about that in a second, because I actually went on this trip alone. I don't know if I had mentioned that at all at this point. But yeah, I went on this entire trip by myself. So he was like, you can have somebody do it for you. And I was like, yeah, I'm alone. And he was like, what? And he's like, well, just bring it with you and the nurse can do it in the morning. So you can do that even if whoever you're with, if you do have somebody with you, if they're not comfortable, just take it with you and they'll do it for you in the morning. So yeah, I went back to the hotel. I made sure to eat a good, big meal, because I wasn't obviously going to be able to eat after midnight and probably for a while the next day. And then I just went to sleep. I woke up in the morning, took that shower, tied my hair up in a braid, just wore loose, comfy clothes, took the paper studies and the injection with me, showed up. I was actually early, so they wanted me to be there at 6 a.m. I showed up at 5:30 a.m. I was there before everybody, actually. I was just sitting there in the waiting room like, I'm ready, let's go. And so 6 a.m. came around and everybody showed up on the dot at 6 a.m. They took me back right away. The front desk gentleman took me back, and he basically started having me fill out more paperwork, hospital paperwork. He did provide me an English copy, so I knew what I was signing. And bless his heart, he didn't speak a ton of English, but he did so well communicating with me. So once we filled out all of the paperwork, I gave them the advance for the hospital. So you have to pay the hospital directly for their fee. So I gave them 7,000 pesos. Again, we'll talk about all the finances later. And then, I had to end up paying a little bit of a difference after. So I paid them the money. Then they gave me a plastic bag to put my belongings in, and a zip tie. So you zip tie it, and then they give you a key to a locker. You lock up your stuff, and then you give them the key back. And then they had me change into my gowns and, my hairnet and all of that. They put me back in a bed in a waiting area, or a holding area. And I wasn't really waiting in all very long. It really didn't feel very long. The nurse came in at one point. She gave me that injection, and they put it in your booty. But I got lots of meat back there, so it didn't hurt. And then she started an IV. And then the doctor came in. He marked up my arms. I waited a little bit longer, but it was really not too much. Then they finally wheeled me back. And the last thing I remember, so they did do spinal anesthesia, which I was really nervous about. He did tell me about that during the pre-op appointment, because I asked, how am I going to be under? Am I going to just be sedated? What's going on? And he said, well, we're actually probably going to do a spinal anesthesia with light sedation or something. Basically, it's localized, but it's spinal. And I was like, come again? What? I wasn't comfortable with that, because I was doing this trip alone, but also because the spine, and that freaks me out. But so when I got onto the surgery bed, the last person I spoke to was the anesthesiologist, and I was like, hey, she didn't speak very much English at all, but I basically was like, is there any way we can not do the spinal anesthesia and just sedate me? And she was like, her confidence actually put me at ease, because she was like, girl, no. She had sass. She was like, absolutely not. I do not trust you not to move. I'm doing this for your best interest. You will be fine, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, shoot. And it made me feel really comfortable. So the last thing I remember is her telling me to roll to my left side. Girl, I was out. And so they do the spinal anesthesia once you're out and you're sedated. So I don't remember a thing. I just remember waking up in the recovery area. I was just in a bed. I did have so I was wearing basically this same garment, and this whole thing was red, and there was blood, and I was like, oh my God, is that normal? The blanket underneath me was kind of all bloody and stuff, and they do inject you, I think, with some fluid stuff, and so, yeah, it just was I was like, what? I was like, is this normal? And they were like, yeah, it's totally normal, you're fine. And so if you have somebody with you, obviously you'll be able to they'll discharge you and you'll be able to leave, and then you just recover and sleep and all that stuff. But I was by myself, and so there was no way I was going to be able to Uber back at that time. So it was really nice that they did allow me the time to recover and fully wake up, because I was there for several hours, and I kind of just fell asleep, was dozed off and kind of loopy and out of it. And then after I kind of was able to chill for a few hours, I woke up and I was like, okay, I feel good. They discharged me, and then they had me change, and obviously it's back into my clothes. They wheelchaired me downstairs, which was really nice. They weren't just off on your way. They wheelchaired me and helped me downstairs, and then I grabbed the Uber. I did have to pick up a couple of things for the nurse. So this is something I haven't mentioned yet. When I was at my pre-op appointment, and so I highly recommend this regardless. So if you are by yourself, I don't know what I was thinking. I kind of just have like boss ass B mentality a lot, thinking I can just like do everything on my own. And I don't know what I was thinking. You can do this on your own, but you still need somebody to, you still need to know how to take care of yourself after surgery. So even if you take somebody with you, they're not going to know what the nurse that I had come, like what she knew, they're not going to know that, and you're not going to know that. So regardless, I feel like when you get BBLs and larger procedures, you go typically like you go to recovery houses, I've heard, not everybody, but basically during the pre-op appointment, when I mentioned that I was alone during this process, the doctor was like, well, you should really have somebody to help you with showering and doing your drainage and all of that. So he gave me a nurse's number. She was a godsend. I'm so happy that they recommended her. I will leave her information down below. If you are going to Guadalajara, whether you see this doctor or another doctor, she was amazing. Highly, highly recommend. And like I was saying, even if you have somebody with you, even if my sister went with me, she wouldn't have known what to do and like what the nurse was doing. So I highly recommend you hire her. It was only 500 pesos a day, which is basically like 25 bucks. She comes, she massages you, she like gets the fluid out, she helped me shower, she helped me wash my hair. It was absolutely amazing, and she was there for 4 days, and then on the 4th day is when she took out the drains. And like my sister wasn't taking out the drains, you know what I mean? So highly, highly recommend that you do that. So at this point is when we're gonna jump into the vlog footage. So I did record while I was there, and this will allow you to see real time, in the moment, emotions, just kind of, you know, I did a couple check-ins, not too much, but yeah, that's what we're gonna jump to now, and I'll catch you on the flip side. But I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know that everything went super smooth. They were very organized. Everything was very clean. I felt just really comfortable, really good with everything. I mean, yeah, it was pretty flawless, and you know, obviously still have healing to do. So like, knock on wood that everything goes. Is this real wood? If you don't have wood, knock on your head. That everything still goes smoothly. I can't wait to shower. I'm like, graphic warning, I'm gonna show my bloody garments. If you don't like blood or anything, you can look away, but yeah, it's just where the drain, it's like it's the garment, not my arm, but that's where it's like draining. So I'm really excited to like, she's gonna clean my garment and everything, and I'm just excited to kind of get cleaned up and get drained out, like, because you can kind of feel it. And it's funny, when I touch my right arm, you can actually kind of hear it in there, like sloshing a little bit. It's so weird. The pain is like so easy and manageable. Like, it just feels like a sore workout. I'm hoping it doesn't intensify over the next couple days, but a little update, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye. Okay, so I'm clearly looking a little different. So my nurse came today, and that was awesome. She came in, took off my garment, she washed it, dried it, so it was ready to be put back on because it was like covered in blood. Then she did the massage of my arms to get fluid out, which she's gonna do for the next 3 days, and then take the drains out Monday. I got dizzy when the compression garment came off and she started doing the massage. I started getting dizzy, so I had to put my feet up. I think it was just from that constant compression, and then all of a sudden you're having this release in your body. So I got a little dizzy, but nothing too bad. I just laid down and felt better. She was super patient, like such a nice lady. And my numbs were arm. My numbs were arm. I'm clearly not with it, and I just took tramadol, so I'm like, wow, my numbs were arm. My arms were numb, so I couldn't really feel her massage. Like, I could feel it, but it wasn't painful because I was nervous it was going to be painful. So after she left, I laid in bed, took a nap. I just felt so relaxed. And yeah, now I just ordered some food. I know I look like shit, just it is what it is. Yeah, kind of all over the place right now, but I just woke up, took my meds, I'm good. Yeah, I'm doing good. So I'm gonna go because I just need to chill. I'm more tired today than I have been the last yesterday. Today's Friday. It's only one day post-op. So weird. It feels like longer. So yeah, I'm just more tired today, and I just want to relax, not use my arms really at all if I can help it. And hopefully after like the third day, I think is when I hear it starts getting a little bit better. So I will check in with you guys at some point, I'm sure. Bye! I decided to lay on my stomach. I don't know if you can see me, but I decided to lay on my stomach because I've been laying on my back for so long. And I realize now that because my arms hurt, I'm kind of stuck. And yeah, I can't really use my arms to get up. So this is how I've been getting up. This happened to me actually the other night for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, I can't get up. Like, what did I just do? Because any pressure rolling, and like I can't use my arms, and like, yeah. This is how I had to do it. I had to inchworm. Ow. Off the bed. Oh, why'd I do it to myself again? And then, and that's pretty much how that had to happen. So, wanted to, just give you that quick little update. Okay, I'm like literally trying to give you an update, and I keep talking for like 7 minutes, 8 minutes to update you because I am going stir crazy, and I've been in this hotel room by myself for a week, and I'm like, just want to talk to somebody. No, I've talked on the phone to a friend and stuff, but today is day 5. I got my drains out yesterday. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. So amazing. And I realized that they went all the way up to my shoulder. So when she pulled it out, I could feel it come all the way out. Like, oh, and they were so long. And yeah, that's what was causing some of that pinching pain. And I did not realize that they went all the way up there because I would have laid differently if I knew that, because I was obviously then like rubbing on them. So I was like, oh, nice. But they got taken out. I still have the stitches in my armpit, so I'm hoping that they take them out later because today is my post-op appointment. So we're gonna see what they have to say about everything. I'm very curious. I think everything so far looks really great, but I'm just curious, what they think, or yeah. So I just sent laundry out for some pajamas tonight because I have 2. Wait, today's Tuesday. I leave tomorrow. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I leave tomorrow. So I put an order in for the pajamas because I don't have anything clean. I'm in a shower right now, and I feel gross. I think that's it. I'm feeling really good. Luckily, the pain is very manageable. It's just more uncomfortable and like kind of pinchy feeling than anything, because your arms are actually like pretty numb. When she was doing the massages, I was actually nervous that it was gonna hurt, because that's what I've seen with like people's BBLs and stuff, but it was numb. My arms are numb. I don't know if that's, I think that's normal, but yeah, I couldn't really feel it, and getting all the fluid out, like, it just, felt good. So, yeah, that's my little update. It is day 5. I will update you again, or not, I'm not sure, but I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye! Alright, so I just got back from my post-op appointment. Everything is going well. He looked at my arms and, said like I'm still very swollen. But that, there's a series of things that I have to do to just make sure I heal properly. So I am gonna do those things. I will say though that they didn't tell me like ahead of time that I was going to need 15 massage sessions with like radio frequency and ultrasound massage. So that was news to me, and obviously that's going to be pretty expensive, especially given that I'm going home tomorrow and doing it in the States. So to be honest, I'll be lucky. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm guessing it's going to add another $1,500 onto the cost of everything I've already paid. And I didn't know that.
I just thought that that was for certain things. I know I've heard it before, and I knew that I might have to get like some lymphatic massages, but I didn't know that he was gonna want me to do that. And I wish they would have said that in advance, because that's a lot of money. Yeah, the massages just really threw me for a loop, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't know that I was gonna need to do that, and I'm obviously like, don't have a choice at this point. I need to do what I need to do to take care of my body and my skin and my arms, and to make sure that it's worth it, that the result comes through. But it's just really stressing me out. Like, I'm on the verge of tears, if I'm being completely honest. It's just been a lot, and I've been in pain because I wasn't taking the tramadol. So he gave me another prescription for a different medication for swelling and pain, and then that was another $40. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Like, there's no way for you to know all of the costs and like what everything possibly is going to cost. I thought I did my best, but I clearly wasn't like super prepared. So that's why I'm making this video, so you don't make the same mistakes I did, or just not have the information. Because yeah, it's so tight, you guys. It's so tight. I'm just like over it. I just like want to go home. I have to do that. I have to get a cryo massage, ultrasound massage tomorrow morning. Damn, I thought that I was doing good this whole time. I was like, I didn't cry, like I'm on my own. I've been doing everything like, well, and that, yeah, so that's the other thing, right? The nurse, like, they didn't tell me that until I got here. Like, oh, if you're coming alone, you know, you're gonna have to hire a nurse. Like, that's stuff that they can tell you in advance, you know? I'm just a little defeated feeling right now, but I'm excited to go home tomorrow. And I know that in the long run, like, once it hits 3 months, I hope it'll all be worth it. But like, I don't know, as of right now, it's worth it. Like, I definitely see results and I see an improvement, but it's just hard. I gotta get past all of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I just gotta give it time to process and get through taking all the medications and just everything I have to do and pay attention to. That is my update. I will see you guys.
Okay, so as you saw in that last clip, that is the last check-in I did. It was the low for me, and this really pretty much this whole journey, that was the low for me. It was after the post-op appointment, which you think you're ready to be excited and, you know, joyous and happy about everything, but just the emotions and dealing with everything up until surgery and then getting it done, you know, it's just a lot. It's a lot, and it's a lot to do, a lot. It's a lot to deal with on your own, and even with someone, you know, you're still going through physical changes, emotional changes. It's just a lot. So I was feeling defeated. Plus I got, you know, some information during that post-op appointment that I was not prepared for, you know, having to buy that second girdle, him telling me that I was going to have to wear it for 3 months, which it was so uncomfortable that I was like, how am I going to do this? Having to leave that stitch in and get it out on the 8th day, when I'm like, I could have stayed longer. And then the same, like, telling me that I was going to need those massage appointments, which I had no idea that he was going to recommend that, because not every doctor does. And I'm going to do what my doctor recommends. So I'm like, that's something I wish that they would have told me in advance. So it was just overwhelming, and I knew that this was going to add on so much more cost to everything as well, which, I don't know, you know, when you have your mindset around something, it can just be kind of stressful. So again, that's kind of like why I want to film this, because I feel like you'll know this information in advance. I did cry on the phone to my sister that night. So after I filmed that clip, I basically kind of broke down. I cried, and I was talking to my sister, and she was like, you know what, like, you're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. You know, it's going to be maybe a little challenging, maybe a little tough, but once these 3 months or 4 months are past and you're basically like in your final healing stages, think about how worth it everything is going to be, right? Like, reality check. And like, you've gotten through the brunt of everything. So put your big girl panties on, or pants on, both, whatever. And yeah, just keep your eye basically on the prize, if you will, and focus on, you know, the end game. So yeah, that was kind of where I was at, and we're in a much better place now. So anywho, all right, the next thing we are going to just kind of breeze through as quickly as possible is the checklist of things that I think that you should take with you. These are going to be like more necessity items. So when I packed for this trip, there was definitely a lot of stuff I brought that I did not need, and yeah, you just learn through experience. I want to share this with you, and I did link an Amazon wish list down below that will have the items I purchased or the items I would have purchased, so you can kind of use that as a reference point. Order them online or go pick them up, but I just figured that would be helpful. So first thing you're going to want to take is snacks for your medications. Just in case you haven't eaten or haven't been able to get a full meal, definitely don't lapse on your meds. Make sure you take them, but some of them, you want to take them with food. So healthy snacks, stay away from a lot of salt and sugar. You're going to want to take, or it's recommended, or my recommendation is Pedialyte. In case that you're kind of not feeling drinking water anymore, and because you want to stay very hydrated. So I linked for you the packets that you can take. I just went and picked up the bottles, which you can do as well, but Pedialyte is very handy, keeps you hydrated. Baby wipes for taking hoe baths. You're gonna shower once a day, but I don't know, you kind of just are chilling, you kind of feel gross. It's nice to be able to take a hoe bath, wipe up a little bit without taking a full shower, because it can kind of be a lot. You're going to want to take sterile gauze for your drains, and that's the only thing that should touch your drains is the sterile gauze. And then behind that, this is what I learned from the nurse, you will put a half of a nighttime pad. I know it sounds so funny. She told me to pick up nighttime pads, and I was like, what could this possibly be for? I could not connect it, and that is what it was for. Just so nice, because otherwise you're literally just leaking through the gauze and all over your garment and onto, whatever. And so that was so nice. So you cut them in half, cut the wings off, and do that in advance. And yeah, the sterile gauze, the nighttime pad goes behind it. And if you are having someone there to help you, they can help you get it into your garment, because it can be pretty challenging because it's so tight. But if you don't have anybody there to do that for you, I would suggest buying the medical tape so you can affix it to your arm and then be able to pull your garment over it. If I would have known, it would have made things a lot easier. So recommendation. Bed pads, so basically essentially puppy pads, incontinence pads, some sort of absorbent thing that you can lay under you, so that if you do leak through your nighttime pad or whatever have you, you're not getting it all over the bed and sheets and things. And then as well, when you are massaging and draining your arm out, you can just put your hand on those pads and let it kind of like leak out and use that. So those definitely you'll need. Mouthwash, because the mobility is limited, so it's kind of hard to brush your teeth. Again, if you have someone to help you, cool. If not, it would have been beneficial for me to have mouthwash, because yeah, couldn't really like do the motion of brushing teeth. Straws to make drinking easier, self-explanatory. Antibacterial body soap, self-explanatory. You just need to take your showers or whatever, but why not have antibacterial? Arnica lotion, pills, and or tea. So the lotion he wanted me to put on every day post shower for 3 months. So I linked the one that I purchased, but you can get any kind. The little pellets are the ones that dissolve into your mouth. I linked them. I picked them up at Sprouts. And then arnica tea, some people like to drink that as well. Totally up to you. The next thing I recommend, which is not, a requirement, but echinacea tea with elderberry to support your immune system. And then fennel tea, which is good for healing. So totally optional, but I did drink both of those pretty much every day. Probiotics, vaginal probiotics in case you get a yeast infection. So I got a yeast infection from taking my antibiotics, which I know can happen, and so I should have done this and I didn't. It was just something I forgot about. So taking a probiotic that has prebiotics, I don't think people realize that they're not really effective unless they have prebiotics. But a vaginal one. So if you're taking an antibiotic for 6 days, just also take a probiotic for 6 days, or even start it a little before and a little after. And or you can do the boric acid suppositories. Those I swear by, even just like through day-to-day life, they're amazing. If you're having like little issues here and there, you do those, oh my gosh, life-changing. So I completely forgot, I spaced it. I have those here and I could have taken them and just done that every day, but yeah, so just something to keep, you know, in your mind as a woman. We have to deal with that sometimes. Band-Aids for the stitches that were in the armpit. For me, they were very uncomfortable and kind of pulled on the seam of my garment a little bit. So if I would have known, I would have just taken a few Band-Aids so that would be more comfortable. Pajamas. I took too many regular clothes. My bag, definitely, I packed a lot of things I didn't need, and I would have, now knowing, I would obviously know what to pack, and that's why I'm kind of letting you know about these things, because you'll be more prepared. So pajamas, comfy clothes, sweats, things that button up for the top, because it's hard to get your hands over to get things over, you know, from up above. And even pulling up pants and pulling them down can be a little challenging. So I linked in the Amazon list a button-up sleep dress, but totally up to you. If you have somebody there to help you with your pants, then you're fine. Battery charger for your phone. So, you know, if you're running errands or if you're going to your appointments and then you're stopping at the pharmacy or having to do anything, it's just a good idea. I found that I was using my phone a lot and running errands and things. So for me, my phone was dying, just an idea. And then obviously that's not a necessity, and neither are these next couple of things, but a pillowcase, just cozy, like home, slippers, sandals, like little flip-flops for the shower, and then an eye mask and earplugs are nice to have. One tidbit that I did do was because I was by myself, I left my hospital bracelet on the entire time I was in Mexico. So the moment I stepped back home and put my feet on, you know, my homeland, I took it off, but it had my name, my birthday, and my doctor's name on it. So I left it on just in case anything happened, passed out, you know, I don't know. I left it on. And then bringing things to do. Girl, I was so bored. I was going stir crazy. I was like, this is literally what it must be like to be in solitary confinement. And I had a computer. Oh, girl. Things to do if you are the type that kind of needs to keep your mind a little busy. So yeah, again, I did link the Amazon wish list down below for you. So feel free to reference that. If there's anything else you think of that you might think might be good, feel free to leave it in the comments, and let's jump into the next section. All right, so the next topic, the most fun topic, the favorite topic that we're going to talk about next, I'm totally kidding, is finances. We are going to spill all the tea in this section, girl. I'm going to break it all down so you know exactly what to budget for, because there was some unexpected things. And yeah, it's very handy to know all of these things up front, because you got to know how much money you got to take with you. So I'm going to put a spreadsheet up on the screen, and we're going to go through it just quickly. And if you see on the right side that it says pesos, that means I did take physical pesos and paid that way for those things. If it says US dollars, I paid US cash. If it says CC, that means I used a credit card, but they were pesos, but obviously it just converts to dollars on your bank statement. So I'm just going to go down the cost list with you, because we're obviously only worried about US dollars. However, you will need to pay physical pesos for your balance due for your surgery, for the hospital fee, as well as your compression garments and your COVID test when you're at the doctor's office. So I had everything sectioned into envelopes for those things, and you do need to order pesos from your bank. I thought you could just like go and pick up pesos, because I was like, oh, it's like Mexico, you know, like it's fine, I'll just pick them up. No, you have to order them. So definitely make sure to add those things up and make sure you have those ready. And then you also have to pay the $1,500 for your Renuvion JPlasma. If you're getting that, it has to be in US cash. So yeah, like I said, I had envelopes for all of those things separated and just ready to go. So when I was paying, I was like, here's this, here's this, here's this, and I was prepared and I didn't have to worry about anything. So just a little tidbit there. But again, we're just gonna go down the costs of each of these things. The deposit ended up being $502 US. I owed the difference when I got there, which was $734.40. The Renuvion JPlasma, $1,500. Hospital fee ended up being $536.21. So the more you have done, the hospital fee will change, right? Because it's how much supply, how much time, all of that. So they don't really tell you in advance. They kind of give you a range. So they told me it would be 7,000 to 12,000 pesos. I took 12. It didn't end up being 12. It ended up being 10,952, as you can see on the right-hand side. Compression garment. So when I got there, I paid for my compression garment. It was $73.44, but they ended up telling me at the post-op appointment that I needed a smaller one, and that was a charge money I didn't know I was going to need to spend. So it was a surprise, $77.50 that I had to spend that I didn't know. So you can budget for 2 garments. Pre-op testing, I had insurance, but I know this is definitely somewhere where all this can start adding up. So hopefully, if you have insurance, that won't happen. I did not need to pay for any of it. And then he did want me to take some iron. I didn't have to pay for that either. The nurse, I did hire her for 4 days. It ended up being $25 a day, basically. So $128. Then I had, of course, post-op medications and a couple of things that the nurse asked me to pick up. I don't know why I didn't think of these things. I guess that they would be included, but when he was like, oh, here's your prescriptions, I was like, oh yeah, I have to go pick these up. So I would just budget $200 for this category, so you're covered. And if you have money left over, then you have it left over. Ultrasound massages. Ugh. Yeah, I wish I would have known in advance. Because then I could have had, like I said, a couple done in Mexico, where you can see on here, they're only $22.70 versus $110 back home. So they are expensive back home, you guys. He wanted me to have 15 ultrasound lymphatic massages, and then the last 10 he wanted me to have radio frequency. Girl, it's expensive. So if you can find a good deal, then awesome. For me, I found an amazing place. So the 110 that you see on here was a place I went to and got it done. It was terrible, and I was like, absolutely not. So I found a separate place for the remaining massages. It's the remaining lymphatic massages, but there is only 4 ultrasound and 4 radio frequency. It's all I could afford, so it is what it is. That cost can obviously make things change a lot, so hopefully you find something cheaper. COVID test, when I got to the doctor's office, like I mentioned, that was $25. COVID test you'll need flying home, it was $12.76. Obviously your flight and hotel, if you can get those cheaper, awesome. Self-explanatory. Meals, I budgeted $200. It ended up being $180. That was basically just eating at the hotel and Uber Eats. The Uber to and from the airport in Arizona, I didn't have to pay for, so that was $0. Ubers in Mexico totaled $87. I would just budget like $100. It's pretty cheap, and you won't really need to go that many places. I kind of just went a couple extra places. Laundry, if you pack properly, you won't need to account for this, but I put it on here. Dog sitter, my sister watched my dogs, but if you need to allot for dog sitting or childcare, you definitely are going to need to budget for that. Lost wages, so I do work part-time and I do not get PTO, so I definitely did not work as many hours as I normally would have, but I was able to make up that money with other stuff I do, so I didn't include it. International cell phone plan, T-Mobile includes that, calling in data in Mexico, so if yours does not, you will need to call them and see if you can add a plan, because it's likely a lot cheaper than getting all those roaming charges. And then other category was just random things. I did a Walmart run, arnica tea, the lotion, just random things that, I needed to pick up or wanted for the trip. So as you can see, the total was $6,683.19. So for your entire surgery, everything, I would just budget $7,000. And if you can save and get it less, then awesome, have money left over. But I would just budget high, and that way you don't have to worry about it. And yeah, then when you have money left over, just throw it back in your bank account and you're good. So hopefully that was helpful and kind of gave you an insight as to what you might need to pay for. If there's anything I left out that you think people might need to account for, definitely leave it down below. But again, this is just for arm lipo. So obviously if you're getting other things done, it's probably going to be a little bit higher, maybe not, I don't know. Costs, they fluctuate based on your area and what you're doing and all that stuff. So hopefully that was just kind of an idea and helpful for you. All right, on to the next section. All right, so the next thing that I am going to be not really talking about, but just more so showing you are before and afters. So I'm not going to show you my arms out of the garment in this video, but I will in the 3-4 month update video. There is, you know, some bruising and still just like a little lumpiness, and you know, you're healing, you have scar tissue, like the fluid buildup and things like that. So I kind of want to show you guys when it's a little bit more solidified, the results, if that makes sense. So, you know, I don't know if those things are going to go away. To be honest, like, my arms are so much better than they were. But I will tell you that I measured my arms before I left, and they were 12.5 inches basically. And the last time I measured them, which was like a week ago, I was at 11 inches without the garment on. So I already lost 1.5 inches off my arms, which is insane. And they're only going to get smaller because they're still swollen. So I'm just going to show you some before and afters, and then we're going to jump into final thoughts. Let's go. Okay, you guys, whew, if you are still here, if you are still watching this video, bless your heart. It has been a long one, but I so hope that it has been informational for you, that it has been helpful for you. I wish I would have known some of these things beforehand. So final thoughts basically is where we're at. You know, I think the thing that people want to know the most is, was it worth it? Honestly, my results aren't perfect, right? Okay, I never expected them to be perfect. I never went into this thinking like, oh, I'm not gonna have like any, you know, bumps, or, you know, well, I was concerned about like bumps, cellulite, unevenness, all that stuff. And honestly, even if I have a little bit of it, it's okay, because my arms were so much bigger before and I was so uncomfortable. And even though I might have those things, which hopefully, and I've heard they go away with time and massaging and all of that, which is why you get those, I feel so much better. I feel so much better, so much more confident. I ran one errand the other day while I was washing my garment, because you can kind of be out of your garment for like an hour a day. So typically it's like showering. So I was washing my garment, ran an errand, and even just running one errand so far with my garment off, I was like, oh my gosh, like my arms are so small. Like, this is crazy. I was tripping. I got emotional. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, honestly, physically, I like my appearance more, but mentally and my confidence level, I can just feel it going up already. I can't wait to buy like the first outfit that I buy when I don't have to wear this garment anymore, and know like, oh my gosh, I don't have to think about whether or not my arms are gonna fit or what I'm gonna look like in that. So I do think it was worth it. I think the next question that typically follows is like, would you do it again? Absolutely. I think in the moments when it's hard, you're like, I would never do this, or why did I do this? Of course, it's natural, but once you get through it, which really was not that bad, I had very minimal pain. It was more just tenderness and soreness than it was pain. Honestly, the drains and the stitch in my armpit were the most uncomfortable. Aside from that, I mean, my arms were numb, so when I got the massages, that didn't even really hurt. I mean, the one girl was painful because she didn't know what she was doing, but overall, it has been so manageable and so tolerable. I don't know if I just have a high pain tolerance, but I don't know. I would totally do it again. I think it was so easy, so doable. I don't know if other parts of the body are different. Obviously, we're only talking about arms here. But yeah, I would totally do it again. So just looking at my notes here, for final thoughts, something I did want to mention is that even though it was worth it and I don't regret it, I did have a real moment after. I remember a couple days after having the procedure, I kind of sat there and I was like, I had this realistic moment, like, wow, like I just went under the knife practically. I'm basically risking my life to have my arms done. And I did have a moment where I was kind of sad that I had to do that. That I was kind of sad that this was the reality for me, that I had to do something so drastic to feel confident and beautiful in my skin. And just because you think you might have a positive result and that it might be life-changing positively, it can also have negative mental effects, right? That you might not be prepared for. For me, ultimately, I was like, well, no, like at the end of the day, like I feel so much better. But I did have that fleeting thought. So this is just something that I think is important to think about. Like, okay, you think you want it, but is it really for you? Because I think just because we think we want surgery, we think we want something done, is the whole process for you? Is it actually going to be for you? I think everyone needs to think about that individually, but it was kind of something I didn't think about before that I think was worth mentioning. And then one thing I do want to talk about is post-op care. So I saw this a lot, especially in that liposuction support group. I think people think that once you get the surgery done, it's just all said and done and you've got skinny arms and that's it and you don't have to do anything and you're good and whatever. No, your journey is not over. It is not over at all. Like, you have to take care of yourself. Your body has just gone through a major trauma and it needs to heal, and you need to help it heal. And the reason people get the scar tissue and the lumps and all of these things is because they're not taking care of themselves at the end of the day. Like, that's what I believe. I think that some doctors don't say that you need the massages, but I definitely think you do. I have noticed such a difference. Like, when I used to touch my arm before, I could feel all these hard lumps and it felt weird. And as I've been getting these massages done, it's squishy and it's soft like a normal arm. And I've noticed the physical changes and I have felt the changes, and so has my masseuse. So yeah, my point is post-op care is so important, and I really don't think you should go through with it unless you have a plan for that and a budget for that. So yeah, overall, so far, I'm extremely happy with my results. My doctor and the whole experience, while it was intense, was pretty amazing. And like I said, I really don't think I'll do this for anything else. But I would 100% do it again thus far. Obviously, I know my results aren't final, so hopefully I'm not singing a different tune in a few months. Knock on wood. This isn't real, so knock on your head. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that 3-4 month update and Q&A video for you. So again, if I haven't answered a question that you still have, please leave it down below so I can answer that in the later video. And please check the description box for anything that I have mentioned for references. And if I have missed anything, just let me know so I can include it for you. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was so long, but I hope, again, it was helpful for you. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's been a lot of talking. So I am ready to go get myself some food, chill out, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.